At number 6, we have a country where the Vodun Festival took place last month in January. The country of Benin. Not to be confused with the Benin Kingdom, this country is home to around 13 million people, most of whom live in the southern portion of the country. If you take Ancestry DNA, Benin results will be localized with Benin and Togo, with of course some spillover into Ghana and Nigeria. And if you take 23andMe, there's no Togo and Benin section, but it's usually represented through Nigeria, and Ghanaian, Liberian, and Sierra Leonean. Atlantic-African relations of this country, also known as Dahomey, started around the 1480s. When Portuguese ships landed in the area and started relationships with various Hula and Ajan nations, the biggest of them being Alada. Most of these peoples were under the control of kingdoms to the east of them, namely the Kingdom of Benin, or Benin Kingdom in today's Nigeria, and later the Oyo Kingdom from the 1600s to the 1800s. Fact that could be verified through the lingua franca of Yoruba seen there, as well as the Fa divination and the veneration of past monarchs. Tired of being under the yoke of their powerful neighbors to the east, and wanting to take control of their neighbors surrounding them, they were eager to establish trade relations with the Portuguese, and later the Dutch, as Alada had a very stable cloth industry during that time. However, this was soon undermined, partly by the king himself, and replaced by the slave trade, as Benin refused to sell male slaves and Alada could offer that, making Ofra, or today's Godome, a huge slave port by the 1660s. Seeing what Alada was doing, Alada's vassal Weda also decided to join in on the fun, fighting for their independence from Alada, and opening up the now infamous Weda port from 1659 onwards, a port the British and Dutch frequented until 1727. But what happened in 1727? Well, starting in 1727, Alada's neighbors up north, the Fon people of Dahomey, started to gain traction after helping the Aladas defeat the Huedas down south, taking over both kingdoms and making sure that the riches of the slave trade was guaranteed, contrary to what the woman king may tell you. As they raided and expanded, Weda port swelled with those caught up in the wars, now dominated by French, Brazilian, and Portuguese ships, and they tried to control people such as Amai, as well as undermine Oyo influence in the region. Into the 1820s, and Dahomey has somewhat of a grasp of the region following Oyo's downfall. The slave trade livelihood was quickly dwindling, something which really worried King Geso, who complained that ports like Porto Novo and Weda was going out of business due to the ban on the slave trade. A complaint that was very much true and contributed to the decline as the years went on. A decline which would lead to the Franco-Dahomeyan War, and despite the efforts of brave women and men, especially the Dahomeyan Amazons, the conquering of Dahomey, and the creation of French Dahomey. Make sure to follow and like.